It's time for another Out of Bounds Rewind with Bo Bounds on ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
Mike D, we were talking earlier about Georgia and Bama. You may disagree. I think Georgia has leapfrogged Bama, and they are the number one, school in the SEC football program and nationwide. Not that Saban can't come back and take the trophy back at some point. How do you see it right now as far as Georgia Bama?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they're the new Bama today. Proof's in the pudding the last 2 years of what they've done to win back-to-back national championships, and it's tough to win one, much less win them back-to-back. And last year wasn't the year that. I thought they'd be a really good team. I thought the team the year before was really had more talent on it. You can't lose that many people. You're talking about 15 draft choices, 7 other guys signed undrafted free agent contracts. You lose 16 people in the transfer portal, and you don't bring one in, and you go undefeated. Man, that's rolling. That's really rolling. And so, yeah, I'd agree with that. And now it's to try to maintain it, because that's the tougher part of all this. I know even in 2019 here with Coach O and LSU, that was the deal to maintain that. When you lose so much and you're going to lose assistant coaches, to keep that rolling. And that's why what Nick has done has been remarkable, because you're losing so many people. You're losing assistant coaches, and yet the train keeps rolling. And for longevity, I'm interested to see how it plays out with Kirby, but I certainly could not agree with you. And we've talked about it so much on WWL about how Georgia's been able to reload the gun very, very quickly. And then playing in the East, too, where there has not been that major competitor. Because in years past, maybe a Florida would have been in the mix. Last year, we saw Tennessee make a run for it, and Tennessee was a really good football team last year. But the West is a little bit more daunting.
Yes,
week in, week out, and that plays a part of it. But that takes nothing away from what Kirby has built at Georgia, and assembling the type of team that could physically get in a ring with anyone, because that's what jumps out at you, their physicality along the offensive, defensive lines. And he was smart enough that he handled the offense over to Todd Monken. Now, does Todd stay? And that's gonna be the other shoe to go down.
He is Mike Detillier on the Out of Bounds show with. So I go Georgia, take out the divisions. I go Georgia and Bama, Mike D. And then I go LSU, but I think people are going to be surprised at how fast Hugh Freeze flips that Auburn roster. And he may not be 11-1 good, but he is going to be very, very competitive right out of the gate.
I think it's Tennessee in the 4th spot. I just think from what, Josh Heupel has done, I would certainly put him in the 4th spot. And I got to see it with you first. Okay, just to go back off of what he did at Ole Miss or what he's done at Liberty. The SEC has changed, and can he win up front? I think that's what jumped out at me about Tennessee. Is offensive line-wise, they were able to compete against the better defenses. I mean, they steamrolled LSU. If you go back to that game, that wasn't even competitive. I mean, they steamrolled them, and they were really competitive up front, where they handled the game very easily, and Hooker was on. So I would put Tennessee in the 4th spot.
Okay.
I just think for what they've been able to recruit, how they've won up front, what Josh Heupel has breathed into that football program. Now let's see the Joe Milton experiment, because it didn't work out at first. They wanted Joe to be the guy, okay? And Hooker told me the story at Manning camp that, when he had transferred from Virginia Tech, he was well aware of the fact that, Milton had maybe been promised, hey, listen, you come here from Michigan. Joe was a highly recruited player from Pahokee, Florida, goes to Michigan, doesn't see a lot of playing time there. And then he comes to Tennessee. It was Milton's job. Milton won it or was in the lead position and for the first 2 games. And then he got yanked. And then Hooker goes in. And it changed the fortunes of Tennessee football for 2 years with Hendon Hooker in there. I thought he played spectacular in the bowl game, but can he keep that up? Because we all know about his physical gifts and that he's got a rifle for an arm. He can throw it, but can he be consistent with his accuracy skills? That got under Harbaugh's nerves at Michigan, that he couldn't do it, and it really lost him the job at Tennessee. Has he matured and gotten to the point where his accuracy skills can match that, or even in the same area code as Hooker? Because if he can, then Tennessee's a major competitor again in 2023 with that roster.
Mike Detillier on the Out of Bounds Show.
Don't miss one moment of the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Weekdays, 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.